well, which was, let's say you got sick, or let's say you became disabled, and so Kandi's like, I don't want you around anymore. You don't get anything. And that's true.
If I were to get sick, just get out. It seemed like the document was just so business. It felt like Kandi hadn't even really reviewed it.
Todd has never given me any reason to think that we were not on the same page when it came to the prenup. Now that Todd has gotten this attorney, he keeps going back to, well, Randy says, or Randy thinks. No, what do you think? What do you want? Because bottom line is, I'm marrying Todd Tucker, not Randy, whatever his name is.
Well, okay, good and damn well that you and I already had a conversation about how we think things should flow.
We did.
All of a sudden, you coming back, oh, my lawyer said we ain't gonna be able to get this done. I'm like, well, how we not gonna be able to get it done when I thought we were gonna...
Kandi and Todd's marriage didn't just end, it detonated. 1 minute, they were the definition of a celebrity power couple. The next, court documents, cold silence, and a move so unexpected it sent the internet into a full meltdown. This isn't your average celebrity split. This is a divorce with plot twists, mystery, and a timeline that refreshes faster than breaking news. Think about it for a second. How does love go from luxury vacations and red carpets to legal filings and public tension overnight? What really happens when two famous people stop being in love and start being strategic? Because fans aren't just watching, they're analyzing every post, every silence, every eyebrow raise like it's evidence in a trial. Social media says it's just a breakup. Insiders say it's a power shift. The courts? Quiet. And that silence is louder than any press statement. Tonight, we strip down the glam and expose the pressure, the narratives, and the unexpected court move that just changed everything. Because this isn't just a divorce story anymore. It's a celebrity chess match, and somebody just made a dangerous move. And the biggest question now is simple. Was this really the end? Or is this where the Real fight begins? When people used to say Kandi and Todd are one of the real ones, they weren't just talking about love. They were talking about legacy. This was supposed to be the couple that made it through everything. Fame, pressure, money, rumors, side-eyed headlines, all of it. And yet here we are. No cute Instagram captions. No glossy red carpet smiles. No forever in sight. Just court filings, silence, and tension thick enough to feel through a screen. And the wildest part? Nobody saw this version of their story coming. Because this isn't what the fairy tale looked like when it started. Back in the day, their relationship wasn't just romantic. It felt unstoppable. Kandi wasn't just a TV personality. She was a music powerhouse, a writer, a businesswoman, a brand. Todd wasn't just the guy she married. He was the behind-the-scenes operator, the producer, the man everyone said understood the industry. Together, they didn't look like a couple. They looked like a corporation with feelings. And people loved that. Fans didn't just root for their love, they invested in it. Emotionally. Publicly, loudly. But here's the thing nobody likes to admit: being a power couple doesn't make you powerful at home. It just makes your arguments richer, your expectations louder, your mistakes public. When regular couples fight, it happens in living rooms. When celebrities fight, it happens with attorneys in the background and followers watching in real time. And that's exactly what makes this divorce feel different. This isn't a sad breakup story. This feels like a strategic event. Not in a criminal sense, but in an emotional chessboard way. One move triggered another, and then another. And suddenly, one quiet filing became a headline. Now, imagine living years of your life on camera. Not just the wins, the fights. Not just the smiles, the sighs. Every marriage has low points. But when yours is televised, analyzed, and replayed, the pressure multiplies. There's no such thing as privacy when your pain makes ratings. People don't usually divorce when everything feels calm. They divorce when something breaks: communication, trust, patience, or all three. And from what fans have been noticing, this didn't come out of thin air. For years, viewers saw subtle changes. Kandi looking more guarded, Todd seeming quieter, less playful, more distant. And whether that was editing, exhaustion, or something deeper, nobody can say for sure. But what fans can agree on is this: something shifted long before paperwork did. And here's where the internet starts acting like the FBI. Suddenly, everyone becomes a body language expert. Every clip gets slowed down. Every interview gets rewatched. That smile? Fake. That pause? Suspicious. That laugh? Forced. That caption? Cold. This is what happens when a relationship collapses in public. Strangers feel like they're entitled to autopsies. But the real shock wasn't the divorce itself. It was the court move. The moment filings appeared, everything went from gossip to strategy. This wasn't a mutual, we wish each other the best. This was legal language. Formal. Cold. Sharp. And once court is involved, you stop being husband and wife. You become opposing sides with paperwork as your battlefield. And the way this hit social media? Violent in the loudest way possible. Think pieces flooded in. Fans took sides instantly. Some defended Kandi like family. Others questioned Todd's moves like he was on trial in the comments. And suddenly, a marriage didn't just end. It became a debate stage for millions. One fan tweeted, "This feels bigger than a breakup." Another said, "Something shifted behind closed doors long before we saw it." And thousands more followed with the same sentence, "We only see the public version." That's the scary thing about celebrity love. You see 3%. You assume you understand 100. Now nobody here is claiming secret crimes or shadow operations. This is about something more relatable: ego, control, power shifts. When two ambitious people grow in different directions, it turns love into negotiation, and negotiation into tension. Money also changes relationships. Let's be honest. When both people are successful, somebody still feels moved eventually. One career might rise faster. One spotlight may shine brighter. Resentment doesn't need villains. It thrives in silence. And from what fans witnessed, silence became louder over time. Kandi stopped sharing the dynamic we were used to seeing. Todd stopped appearing like he once did. Their narrative changed tone, subtle, but different. And if you've ever been in a relationship long enough, you know the shift always comes before the breakup. But what made people alarmed, not just surprised, was how fast this became legal instead of emotional. That court filing represented a line being crossed. Not in anger necessarily, but in certainty. This wasn't, "Let's try counseling." This wasn't, "Let's figure this out." This was, "Let's make it official." And the moment it became official, everything else became dangerous. Not physically dangerous, reputationally dangerous. Because once court enters a celebrity marriage, narratives start fighting each other. One side protects image, the other protects position. And the audience? The audience picks whichever story fits their feelings first. Some fans saw Kandi as standing in her power. Others thought Todd was taking control of the narrative. Nobody had proof, only opinion. And yet opinion turned into assumption. Assumption turned into storyline. And storyline turned into content. That's the machine. And this divorce became fuel. Suddenly, old interviews resurfaced. Clips from years ago popped back up like they were warnings that nobody noticed at the time. Fans replayed things like, "See? Right there." Or, "That moment looked off." Or, "She didn't smile the same after this." It's human nature to rewrite history once you know the ending. We start pretending the signs were always obvious. But real life doesn't give spoiler warnings. Love fades quietly, long before Instagram recognizes it. What hits hardest isn't that Kandi and Todd are separating. It's that people believed they wouldn't. Reality TV trains us to believe couples are either toxic or perfect. This one felt perfect. So the collapse doesn't just disappoint fans. It shakes faith. Because if they didn't make it, who does? But here's the deeper question nobody's asking out loud. What if the divorce isn't the scandal? What if the timing is? Because celebrities don't end relationships randomly. They end them when something shifts internally or externally. A breaking point, a power imbalance, a realization. And when it reaches the court system, that means the emotional separation already happened a long time ago. This isn't about who filed. It's about why now. And whatever that reason is, nobody outside those walls knows the full truth. But the fact that this wasn't a quiet split, the fact that this involved legal immediacy, the fact that this turned strategic instead of sentimental, that's what made the internet go quiet for just long enough to refresh the page. Because no matter how strong a couple looks, there's always a story behind the silence. And Kandi and Todd's silence right now, it's screaming. Because once this reached the court system, the story no longer belonged to love, it belonged to paperwork, positioning, and a public that was suddenly obsessed with every possible detail that could explain how a marriage went from power couple to court case in one motion, and that's exactly where the real chaos began. What the public rarely understands is that the moment legal action enters a relationship, emotions stop being the loudest voice, strategy does. Every decision becomes calculated. Every sentence goes through layers of advisors. Every move is filtered through potential headlines. And in a celebrity marriage, one wrong phrase can cost millions, not just feelings. So when the filings happened, the internet immediately shifted from heartbreak mode to courtroom spectator mode. Fans weren't just sad anymore. They were investigative. They wanted answers, timelines, meanings. Suddenly, a marriage had turned into a mystery series. And that's when the sources started appearing. Now, we're not talking about official statements. We're talking about the internet's favorite word, allegedly. An insider close to the situation says, a source familiar with the couple claims. Someone in the circle hinted. No names. No faces. Just whispers wrapped in confidence. Some said the pressure of running multiple businesses turned personal conversations into boardroom meetings. Others claimed that every disagreement felt like a negotiation instead of a conversation. And some fans believe the relationship turned more contractual than emotional. Is any of it confirmed? No. Does it stop people from sharing it? Definitely not. The internet doesn't wait for facts. It waits for drama. And the drama came with receipts. Not legal receipts, emotional ones. Old interviews, side glances, moments people once praised were now reinterpreted. A clip that used to be cute banter suddenly became tension. A pause that once felt normal was now distance. Even silence itself was treated like a statement. Then came the opinions. People started asking whether Todd felt overshadowed, whether Kandi felt unsupported, whether fame built the relationship or slowly cracked it. Every angle was analyzed. Every theory spread. But the truth stayed the same, locked behind closed doors. Here's the strange part about celebrity divorce. Fans don't just watch it, they personalize it. People started projecting their own breakups onto this one. Their own disappointments. Their own regrets. Suddenly, this wasn't just Kandi and Todd anymore. It was everybody's failed relationship in a designer outfit. And social media is not gentle with grief. Some users dragged both sides mercilessly. Others defended with full loyalty, like they were family members. One side said Kandi deserved peace. The other said Todd deserved fairness. And a third group screamed, "We don't know what happened." But that doesn't stop the theories from forming. Because if you don't get truth, you get narrative. And everyone started building their own. One narrative painted Kandi as the woman who outgrew the relationship. Another painted Todd as the man who felt replaced by the spotlight. And another version claimed fame did exactly what it always does. It separated two people by putting cameras between them. Again, no proof. Just emotional pattern recognition. But here's something nobody talks about enough. Divorce doesn't start in court. It starts in silence. It starts in dinners where nobody talks. In rooms shared but not occupied together. In conversations replaced by schedules. In small issues turning into permanent distance. By the time documents are signed, the real ending already happened. What shocked people wasn't the legal filing. It was how emotionally final it seemed. No dramatic joint statement. No warm goodbye message. No mutual respect and growth caption. Just legal language. And legal language has no feelings. Fans kept waiting for one of them to speak up. To explain.
To humanize it.
But the quiet never broke. And when famous people go quiet, speculation goes loud. Every appearance after the filing became a moment of scrutiny. Facial expressions analyzed. Clothing choices interpreted. Body language dissected like this was some emotional anatomy lab. People asked, why does she look relieved? Why does he look distant? Why hasn't she posted? Why did he post that? Even the most normal actions became suspicious under a divorce microscope. Now here's where the internet gets really dramatic. Once the whisper cycle hit full speed, the story expanded. Suddenly, this wasn't about love. This was about control, about money, about image management, about who's winning. And that's when it turned ugly. Not in real life, but online. Because when a public breakup becomes a public scoreboard, humanity disappears. Instead of, are they okay? It became, who's up? Who's down? Who's stronger? Who looks better without the other? Like divorce is a competition, which is insane. But social media runs on energy, not empathy. Meanwhile, the business side of things began quietly moving behind the scenes. Because in a celebrity marriage, love isn't the only thing tied together. Brands are. Image is currency. Silence is strategy. Timing is everything. Nothing gets done emotionally. Everything gets done practically. And while outsiders argued in comment sections, lawyers did what lawyers do. They prepared, protected, and positioned. Again, no secret drama. No crimes. No conspiracies. Just the slow process of disconnecting two lives that were once legally bound. But emotionally, the internet needed a villain. So people started rewriting the story with one. And once people pick a villain, they stop listening to reality. Everything one does becomes manipulative. Everything the other does becomes heroic. Nobody wins when a relationship ends in the court of public opinion, because divorce already hurts. Public divorce hurts louder. And when fame is involved, it hurts forever. Every future relationship becomes suspicious. Every future smile gets questioned. Every future partner gets compared. That's the tax of loving loudly. But here's where fans finally realized something important. This wasn't destruction. This was detachment. And detachment doesn't look dramatic. It looks quiet. Court documents don't cry. Judges don't sigh. Lawyers don't grieve. They just finalize. And when something gets finalized, it cannot be undone. Not with emotion. Not with regret. Not with memories. Only filed. Which is exactly why this moment feels so heavy. Not because it's explosive, but because it's done. And for people who invested emotionally in this couple, that finality is hard to accept. Because once something official hits paper, even love can't argue with it. And with all eyes still watching, all tweets still firing, all fans still guessing, one question remains. Not what happened, but how much this cost emotionally behind the scenes. Because when fans stop trending it, when headlines move on, when interviews turn quiet, two real people are still processing a real ending. Not a storyline, not a show, not a headline, a life shift. And no matter which side anyone takes, no matter how many jokes get made, no matter how many theories exist, the truth is always smaller and sadder than the internet wants to admit. Because when the noise finally settles, the comments stop, and the hashtags fade, what remains isn't scandal, it's consequence. And that's where the real story always waits. Long after the internet moves on, after the trending tab forgets, after new drama replaces old headlines, there's still reality sitting in the background, quiet and untouched by attention. And that's the part nobody really talks about, the emotional wreckage that doesn't come with notifications. Divorce isn't loud in real life. It's quiet. It's packing boxes when nobody's recording. It's staring through windows at houses that don't feel like home anymore. It's learning how to breathe while something familiar disappears. And when you're a celebrity, you do all of that while being watched. Every smile is questioned. Every laugh is doubted. Every moment of peace becomes suspicious. People think fame makes heartbreak easier. It doesn't. It just gives heartbreak a bigger audience. For Kandi and Todd, the spotlight that once celebrated their love is now lighting up their separation. And while the internet keeps choosing sides, real life keeps moving forward without asking permission. And here's the truth nobody wants to hear. Not every breakup has a villain. Not every divorce needs a winner. Sometimes people just break. Not explosively, not cruelly, not dramatically, just quietly. Behind secure doors and unread messages. Behind unspoken sentences and emotional exhaustion. The court doesn't care about chemistry. The law doesn't care about history. Paperwork doesn't care about love. It only cares about closure. And closure is never as dramatic as people want it to be. It doesn't happen with public apologies. It doesn't come with confessionals. It doesn't arrive with big speeches. It just settles. And once it does, nothing can bring things back to how they were. That's the part that hurts. Not the court. Not the headlines. Not the gossip. But realizing that something you built isn't yours anymore. Fans keep asking whether someone is winning this divorce. But nobody ever wins something they had to lose first. You don't win separation. You survive it. And what makes this particular situation so emotionally heavy isn't just the legal side of it. It's watching two people who once built something public now dismantle it privately. Their relationship didn't exist in silence. It existed in interviews, episodes, appearances, and screens. So its ending doesn't exist quietly either. It echoes. Through reaction videos. Through fan theories. Through endless comments asking, what really happened? And the painful answer is, what really happened may never belong to us. Because some truths don't live on the internet. They live in memory. They live in disappointment. They live in nights without sleep and mornings full of silence. Not everything is meant to be explained. Some things are only meant to be accepted. And maybe that's the part that makes people uncomfortable. Because we want clarity. We want answers. We want statements. But life doesn't give press conferences for pain. It just changes. And doesn't ask whether we're ready. So when you see Kandi on screen again smiling, just know it doesn't always mean healing. And when you see Todd move forward, it doesn't always mean peace. Sometimes moving forward is just surviving. Sometimes smiling is just breathing. Sometimes letting go is not strength. It's fatigue. And that doesn't make anybody weak. It makes them human. The internet loves bold stories. But real life is rarely bold. It's soft and slow and heavy. And when celebrity relationships end, the audience usually leaves with entertainment. The people involved leave with reality. Two different worlds. Two very different costs. So while fans argue in comment sections and outsiders debate loyalty, remember something important. This wasn't just a storyline. This was a life chapter ending in real time. And life doesn't reset. It just continues. With different people. Different routines. Different dreams. What the public got was a headline. What they lost was something only they understand. And that's where the real story ends. Not with drama, but with distance. Now, let me ask you something real. When a perfect celebrity marriage collapses like this, do you think it's shocking? Or does it just prove that fame doesn't protect feelings the way people think it does? Was this a breakup everyone saw coming and ignored? Or was it one of those endings that happens quietly until it suddenly becomes official? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Not gossip, opinions. Do you think fame strengthens relationships or slowly suffocates them? And if you were in their position, millions watching, lawyers involved, public pressure everywhere, would you fight to fix it or walk away to save yourself? If this story made you think, even for a second, hit that like button. If you're tired of the fake perfection narrative and want real talk about real emotions behind celebrity headlines, subscribe. Because here, we don't just repeat news. We read between it. And until the next story breaks, stay curious, stay honest, and remember, the internet moves fast, but heartbreak moves slow.